do you mean by transaction, guys? Anyone?
It records only the facts of the data.
Facts about the data? No. I'm asking day-to-day life. What are you doing? Like I'm asking that. What do you mean by transaction?
Payments.
Means keeping some orders.
What else comes to the picture?
I mean, if it is successful or if it is failed also that.
In UPI, we can say.
Yes.
Or transferring cash transfer. Then what else? In banks, you go that and do transactions in banks,
Yes.
credit, debit. With respect to Amazon, what you can say? We discussed yesterday Amazon, right? In that, what are the transactions that can be? Adding to cart is a transaction, right? You're processing at that particular time of moment. Then adding your shipping details. Then you're confirming your order. Then you do payments. Okay. These are all things you are doing here. What are you taking any time to do this processing? I mean, are you taking 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week, 4 week times? How much time you require to do this instantaneously? So transactions are nothing but you can say whatever the activities you are doing day to day. What is Newton's third law of motion, guys? Anyone remember from school days?
Every action has equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Now transaction is same. Okay, for every transaction you do, you need to get some inputs or output out of that. Okay, so that's are called transaction. Now, what do you mean by analytics? Analyzing day-to-day activity. What you do in analyzing? You'll be doing budgeting, right? Our budgeting. So how much we spent and we get a salary. In that we have to pay for rent. Then we have to pay our EMIs. Then any other things we have to pay. And at the end of the month, we will be analyzing, right? What we spent on, what we saved, what was the extra things that we bought unwanted, what are the new things we bought that was necessary for ourselves. These all things what we are doing, we are analyzing, right? So in the same way, what you can understand for Amazon, what they can analyze.
How many orders placed?
Okay, how many order placed per month? Then what else comes?
Type of orders, like what category?
Okay, type of orders. Okay, per month. Okay, then which is sold? Sorry, something you're saying.
I think it will check the activity also, how much time you are spending on this particular website.
Activity. Okay, you can consider that also because you are analyzing that. Okay, user spending time on website. What else, guys?
How
Anything
much
can come up?
happen per day?
Sorry.
How many sales per day, like and how many products?
How many products sold sold during days? The sale. You mean to say this?
Yes.
Yeah. So now what are you doing? Is these two are interconnected? Whatever you're doing, what's the difference between these two when you see? Anyone? So in transaction, you're doing day-to-day activity. So whatever you're doing, it's for shorter duration of time. Whereas in analyticals, you are having a huge amount of data or any data that you're analyzing and you're trying to extract some output out of that. Okay. In the same way, in database, okay, we have two types of database mainly. So one is OLTP, another is OLAP. Now, seeing these two things, what can be OLTP? Can anyone guess?
Transactions is OLTP.
Yeah. What is OLAP?
Analytical.
Okay. So OLTP is nothing but OLTP. Definition of OLTP is nothing but it's a system that handles day-to-day activities or day-to-day transaction. Whereas OLAP is nothing but it's a system that is required to analyze your data and make decision. Okay. Any doubts so far, guys? No doubt? Okay. Now, let's understand in the data engineering terms. Let me say, give me a minute. Okay, let me take this. Now, what we saw there are sources, right? We saw there are sources, okay? In our first demo classes, we saw this is a source one, this is a source two. Now, this is a OLTP system of any company, okay? Now, Amazon is the one who has built their databases. Now, this can be product database and this can be sales database. Now, what they are doing now, since all the transactions are coming here day to day, they are keeping all this transaction here. And when to do for their analytical purpose, what they do, they just make a something called as ETL process, and then they move all these things to a something called as a OLAP system. Okay, now what they are doing, why they are doing this. Okay, now understand, since we let's understand few features. Now, any doubt in this? So we understood this in a first class, right? What we are doing, we are different sources where we are extracting all that data. What do you mean by ELT, guys? What are all the things we are doing in ELT? Anyone? ELT process in our first class I explained, right? What are the cleaning activities we do? Anyone remember? Okay. So we do all the cleaning activities like missing data, duplicate data. Sorry, someone was answering. Any nulls checks. We all clean that data and then we move that to OLAP for further analysis. Now, what happens is, now we have OLTP. Okay, OLTP. Let's understand the features of OLTP. What are they meant for? Now, OLTP are mainly meant for handling transactions, right? Handling transactions. Now they process a large amount of transaction on day-to-day activities. Now what they have to make, they have to make sure the data is having consistency. Okay, they in any transaction, what we'll be doing, we saw some activities, right? We saw insert, we saw delete, we saw update. We saw these activities when when we are exploring queries yesterday. Now on OLTP system, there will be a day-to-day activities that will be happening, and that will be insert, delete, and update. Now these are the transactions that are happening in day-to-day basis. As soon as the more and more data comes, the size of data increases. Okay, the size of data is increased. Now, as the size of data is increasing, what happens? It's a cost barrier for the company, right? The more data, now you are doing the computations here. Now, what are you doing? You are doing insert, update, delete, or you're making changes to your data. Now you're paying for computation as well, and then you're saying, I'll keep all these data in that database only. Then so most of the companies have to bear more cost. That's the reason what they say, what they do for every 3 months data or every 1 month data. As soon as they have a data here for analyzing, what they do, they just move that to OLAP system. Now, once they move all the data into OLAP system, whatever the data is there in OLTP, what they can do, they can make it as inactive. That is one option for them, or else they can do what, they can archive that. Okay, archive is nothing but moving from OLTP system to any storage location. Okay, storage location, that can be anything. That can be what, you can have S3, you can that is from Amazon, that's a storage location. You can have ADLS, and you can have Google Cloud. Now they can do this, or also they can do what, there are something called as SFTP. SFTP are nothing but on-prem storage system. Okay, on-prem storage system where they can store the data. Okay, store the data. Now the cost for this is less compared to that as a database. Now, what they can do, if they want to keep that in an on-prem system, they can move to these servers. These are called as the servers where they can store the data. Now they can do this, or what else they can do is once they move all the data to OLTP, they can delete all the data, only keeping for 6 months or 3 months. It depends on the business use. Okay. Now that's the reason we have two types of databases in SQL. One is OLTP and another is OLAP. Any doubt in this, guys? Please in chat. Any doubt? Can we move it? Can we move it? Okay.
Yes.
Let me open the slide. Okay. Okay. OLTP, there are two types of databases, as we saw. One is OLTP, that is online transaction processing. Another is OLAP, online analytical processing. Okay. Now, example for OLTP are MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL, PostgreSQL, the SQL which we are practicing, or which we are going to work on, that is OLTP system. Okay, where we are doing transaction on day-to-day basis. Now, example for Hadoop can be, example for OLAP can be your Snowflake, your Databricks, Hadoop, Hive. These are the big data tools which can be used for your analytical purpose. So these are the some example for OLAP. Okay. Now since we are starting with OLTP, now further when we move to Snowflake, we'll be discussing more on the OLAP side. Okay. Now next. Now this is example OLTP. Okay. Now let's have a two person who are having the online transaction. Now person A is sending to person B. Now he wants to send say something $2,000 from his account, like $6,000 to person B. Now he sent that. As soon as he does the transaction, there is a deduction in person A and there is an addition in person B. Now there is a transaction is happening between the two persons. So these kind of tracking of these kind of system can be done with the help of OLTP system. Now, what are the common examples where these OLTP system are used? So OLTP system are used where there are more transaction oriented application. For example, your Amazon purchases, your Book My Show ticket, or aeroplane ticket booking, or your ATM transaction, your bank transactions, what you're doing, your UPI payments, what you're doing on day-to-day basis, all these are called as OLTP transactions, and they are maintained in the OLTP system. Okay. Now OLAP is nothing but it's OLAP is nothing but the Amazon user. Now what we discussed, right? Or they will analyze for three previous years. For example, have you ever seen if you are browsing anything in the Amazon, you add that thing in your cart, and you are seeing that for example, you're buying the particular item and you see there that item. For example, you're buying shoes. Okay. Now today you see that shoes, the rate of that shoe is 7,000. Now you thought what? Well, let's buy the shoes, but then you thought, okay, we'll see for a few more days. We'll see what's happening. Like we'll see any discounts we get, and we'll just go out. Okay. Now next day you come and see the same thing, and you're trying to buy again. But again, what you added that to the cart button, you did not process to your payment thing. You're thinking, okay, there might be some sale, and we will analyze. We'll buy that time, and we might get some discount. Now, what Amazon people will be doing that they will be seeing these things and they'll analyze this and they see, okay, this guy is coming, he's adding to cart, but he's not processing further. What can be the issue? Okay, maybe he might be looking for some discount. Now, as soon as you enter the third day, you see that instead of 7,000, that price might be reduced by 500 and it might become 6,500. Have you ever seen this kind of example when you're browsing anything in your online e-commerce platform? Have you seen this, guys?
Yes.
Yep. So what does Amazon is doing? They are analyzing your user behavior, and based on that, what they are trying to do is, okay, since this guy is there, and he might think, okay, we give some discount, he might have that emotional thinking, and he might buy that, and then they give that discount, and as soon as you see that discount, you'll buy those products. Now, to do this analyze and increase the revenue, all these things can be done using the help of OLAP system. Okay. These are the brief differences between OLTP and OLAP. Okay. Now, volume, what is a handle? Okay, it handles a large number of small transactions. You understand this? What's the meaning? It can handle large number of data, but on only the small transactions that are happening, it can handle that. Whereas in OLAP, you are writing a very complex query. It has a huge volume, and you are writing complex query and bringing what are you doing? You're building analytical on top of that data. So in that case, we have to go on OLAP. Now, do you understand? Like, I want to ask you one question. Now, since you are doing all transaction and all in OLTP, why can't we do direct analysis on the OLTP? Instead of that, why you need to go to OLAP? Can anyone explain? Or why they think? Anyone? Anyone have an idea?
That is a on-premise, right? So we cannot do any analysis on on-premise.
No, there are systems. Earlier, there were few OLAP system. Also, there was Teradata. There are few things. SAS. There was tools that can also do the your analysis things.
We cannot do any live data, right? Any analysis we cannot do on live data.
Okay. Okay.
We can
Any
only
other thing that's coming into your mind?
The OLTP, you are doing the read and write transactions, whereas
Yeah.
OLAP mainly for readable activity.
Yeah. Exactly. This is what I wanted to ask. So what are you doing in OLTP? You are doing what? You are inserting, you are updating, and you are deleting. Okay, if data need to be deleted. Now you're doing this transaction. Now, while doing this transaction, if you try to read the data, will it give the consistency in the data? Well, will analysis be correct? Now, today you are doing, you inserted a data. Okay, now inserted particular data, and you are building on top of this any analysis. The next day, when the person come and make some updation, that updated data comes into the OLTP system, right? Now, again, this report or anything analysis you are doing, will it be affected or not? It will get affected, right? So that's the reason most of the things analysis will be done in the OLAP, where most of the things will be on reading the data. Once we read the data, and then we are going to analyze the data. Okay, that's why we say it will in the OLTP there will be simple standard queries, only insert, update, delete. Okay, whereas in OLAP there will be complex queries. Okay, whereas in response time for OLTP, since the data is very less and we can easily access that data. Whereas in OLTP, there are huge data. You might be maintaining 5 years of data. You might be maintaining 10 years of historical data. If you want to process that amount of data, it might take some time. So that's the reason on-prem system were having these issues. That's the system. That's the reason now Snowflake came to the picture, where they say to process your data also will give a computation and we give with a less cost. And now easily you can query a huge amount of data in very small duration of time. That's why a lot of systems are moving to cloud, who are also OLAP systems. Okay. Now in sources, mainly you'll be doing what? Transactions. These are the transactions you'll be doing. Whereas in OLAP, once you read the data, you need to aggregate, right? You're saying we need to find a sales, whatever the total number of sales that has happened for this particular product in 1 month. Now you need to you need to add all this data, right? All the data of every day. Now what you are doing, you are aggregating that data and you are representing that. So that all things will be doing what in OLAP will be doing. Okay. Now purpose is what? To run your business day to day, and to whereas in OLTP it is to plan, solve, and support your decisions to have that more and more things we can analyze your business and grow your business. For that we'll be using OLAP. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt in this? No doubt? Shall we move ahead? Okay. Now let me come to features. Okay. Let's understand few features of OLTP. Now, why I'm stressing this topic a lot is you might be asked, even though if you're a senior data engineer or a fresher or 1 or 2 years of experience guy, these type of question will be asked. Okay, they will ask explain OLTP and OLAP for sure. Okay, they will ask this question. So that's the reason I'm stressing on this question so that you can have the more understanding and you can explain this. Okay. Now let me remove this so that now first thing what we saw transactions. Okay, that's what we do. Now second, it's meant for high concurrency. What do you mean by high concurrency, guys? Anyone? What do you mean by concurrency? Concurrency is nothing but it supports multiple users. Okay. Now you are doing some in OLTP system, for example, for a particular table, you try to write something and another table, a person is coming and updating something. He can do these things. Okay. The multiple people can work on this on the system together. So that's the reason it's called high concurrency. Now next is called it's meant for something called as okay. Okay. It is meant for something called as normalized data. Okay. Something called as normalized. Now, what do you mean by normalized data? Okay. Let's understand this with an example. Okay. Open my. Now, let me take some in Amazon. Let me take an example. We have a order ID. Okay. Then we have let's take a name. Okay. Cust name. Okay. We have cust name, customer name. Then we have what customer email. Then we have product ID, product name. Let's say category. Then we have what can we say price. Now what can have quantity and TT, and then we can say order date. Okay. Now let me do this as a table. Okay. Now this is your denormalized data. Okay. Let me put some data. 1, 2, 3 is the ID. Let me say Sagar and say Shiv and say again Sagar. Okay. Now email ID is sa@gmail. Okay, I'm just taking some dummy data. sh@gmail. sa@gmail. Okay, let's have some product IDs like P1. Oh, sorry. Okay, now we can say P1 is a P2. Now P3. Let's say we bought an iPhone here and he bought a earphone and he bought a charger. Give me a quickly, I'll complete this, guys. Give me something electronics. Again, you can say electronics. This is also electronics and this is also electronics. Now price can be something 50,000, can be 1,000, it can be 2,500 something. Okay, it's 1, say 2, 1. Okay, and order date is something, let's say today say 030/2025. Okay, let's consider this only all. Okay, now what are you seeing here, guys? Okay, now what's the issues in this kind of data is okay. Now issue you are seeing in this data here is now you are what you are seeing, there is a person called as a Sagar who is doing two type of transaction. Okay, one day is having iPhone, he has brought an iPhone, and another he has brought a charger. Now for the same person you are adding 2 times. Okay, now what's happening here is you are having something called as a redundancy. Okay, what do you mean by redundancy is nothing but you are adding a data, unnecessarily data again and again, same data. Okay, now next thing what issue here is if you are adding more and more data, what's the issue, guys? Storage is the issue, right? You are having more and more data, then storage is also more. That's another issue. And then what's happening? Okay, for now you are having only 3 records. Now you imagine in Amazon you are having 1 million, 2 million transaction that is happening a day, and you want, and for example, I have bought 200 products, and I am updating everywhere my email ID from sa@gmail.com to sagar@gmail.com. Now, how much action that has to be done? Now you are doing a lot of transaction. You're using a lot of computation to do all this transaction and to update the just simple table. Now, if you're doing frequent insert, update, and delete, is this type of model is helpful for OLTP system? Do you agree? What do you think? Is it useful for OLTP system or OLAP system? No? Anyone? Okay. Now, since you're doing all updation and all, this kind of system will be not useful for OLTP system. Now, what we'll be doing, we'll be normalizing this data. Okay. We'll do what? We'll normalize the data and divide this data into different types. For example, we'll do what? I'll just give one example. We'll say customer table, where I say cust ID. I'll give one ID for that and say cust name, and then I say cust email. Okay. I'll just give that email, and I'll take this particular information and I'll put here. Okay. For this, I'll define something as C1. Okay. Now again, I take this and I put here. Okay. And I'll let me say this as C2. Now you let me do this. Okay. Now we have one data for customer. Now next, what we can have another data for product. Now what I can say, product ID. I'll do a product ID. Then I say product name. Then I say category. And then I say price. Okay. Then I say price. Now for this, what I can say P1, I can say product ID is P1, and I say P2, and I'm saying the product of P1 is nothing but this and charge. You can say this, and one more product we have, that is P3, that is a charger. Okay. Now we can bring this particular data to here. Okay. Now we bought this, and what we are doing, we are again doing one more table for what we're doing for product. Now next, what we can do for order also. Okay. For order, again we'll do what? Order ID. We'll create another order ID. We'll say cust ID to link the table, and then say order date. Okay. Okay. Here what we can do, whatever ID we can give, O1 for all the orders, O2 for this, and let's say O3 for here. Now inside this, we can add what? Now for order one, what you can do, let's consider this is order one, which has happened for this particular days, right? Let's consider this, and we are doing this. Now for 17th, which customer that has order? That is Sagar. For Sagar, what is the ID? That is C1. We can add here it like C1. Now for 18th, who is a person that is having Ashu, and for that, what is the ID? We can add C2. Now C3. Okay. Now we added here, and we made one more table for what? We made for orders as a one table. Now next is what? We can have a last table that is for order tracking, and again we say order ID, product ID, VID, and last quantity. Okay. Quantity. The quantity. Okay. In this what, again we will take this all information and we'll put here. Okay. And again, all this information we'll take and we put here. And then what are the quantities that have been sold? We'll take this and we put here. Now seeing this, if you are having any insertion, updation and deletion, for example, any customer comes into the picture and he is doing, for me, I'm saying Sagar, instead of Sagar, I'm updating, oh sorry for that. Instead of Sagar, I'm updating it to sagar@gmail.com. So what we can do here is Now we don't need to go and do what updating in whole table. Okay. Now all you can do is we will be updating in this one table. Now since this is linked to all these tables. Now if you want to bring anything information, now we will be doing joins. I will be joining and will fetching. Okay. Now what's happening? The redundancy of data is reducing. Okay. In the normalized form, you split the tables into different tables, and you remove the redundancy and ensure that storage and easy updation is happening. And you can link all this using something called as keys. When we'll go for constraint, we'll see that now you're linking and you're maintaining what integrity of data you're maintaining here. Now this kind of system is meant for what? OLTP. Okay. Now, any doubts so far, guys? Are you able to understand this? Hello, can you hear me? Are you
Yes.
able to understand? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now you are saying OLAP as a denormalized form, and we are doing like all the things whichever we are doing in OLAP as a denormal, we are keeping like. But when we'll be learning Snowflake, there comes another topic called as data modeling. Okay, we'll be doing data modeling, and again we'll be converting all these item into something called as dimension table, and then we'll be converting something into fact table, and then we'll be linking all this using joins. We'll be seeing this. So what I can say is for OLTP is not completely denormalized form. This used to be there in the earlier when you used to have the earlier OLAP. This kind of system used to do. But now we can say based on the tables we decide which should be a OLTP and which should be a OLAP type of a tables in the data warehouse. Now whenever we'll be learning data warehouse, you need to ask this how we are doing this denormalized data in OLAP also. You do remember this, and when we will be learning Snowflakes, we can bring this up and we'll be learning more about this when we'll be doing data modeling. Is it okay, guys? Can we move ahead?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, let me open that. Okay. Now you understand the normalized form, right? In normalized, what we are doing, we are dividing the table into what? Multiple tables, and we are removing the redundancy of the data. Okay. Now, next thing is OLTP are nothing but ACID compliance. Okay. Now let's understand this. What do you mean by ACID? ACID is not. It's a property of any database. It is called as atomicity. What do you mean by definition is atomicity? We call it as atomicity, comma something called as consistency. Then we have something called as isolation. Then we have durability. Okay, these are the short acronym. For that we say it as an ACID property. Now let's take an example and understand this. This is also a very important question that can be asked in interview. So I'll just explain in a brief way what you mean by this. Okay, now let's take an example. Okay, now whenever you are doing a transaction, right? You're doing transaction. Let's say you are sending a money. Okay, you let's say person P1. Okay, you are a P1 person and you are sending 10,000 rupees to P2. That you are sending your person, your friend P2. Now, have you ever seen that when you will do any transaction, right? You will send a 10,000 rupees from your account. Will that transaction will go only if you are sending 10,000? Will it go only for 5,000? And 5,000 will come back to you? Have you ever seen this?
No.
No, right? Now, since you if have you ever seen this also? You do the transaction and 10,000 is deducted from your account, but it doesn't go to the person P2, and you see after a few minutes it is reverted back to you. Have you seen this situation? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Now this kind of property is taken by something called as atomicity. What atomicity is done, it makes sure you have the fully completed transaction, or else fully rolled back. Okay, fully rolled back. So what it means, the transaction must be fully completed or fully rolled back. That is, it should execute all or nothing. Okay, no part of the transaction should be done. Okay. Now, if this kind of things is not enforced on OLTP system, so you're doing day-to-day activity, day-to-day transaction that will affect your system. So this is the property that makes sure your transaction are completed, or if it's not completed, it should be fully rolled back. Okay. Any doubts so far, guys, in this? Were you able to understand this? Now, for example, in P1 in his account, he had 50,000. Okay, he had 50,000 in his account, and he's doing transaction of 10,000 to his friend P2. Okay, now as soon as he does transaction in his account, what will be the account balance in P1? Will it be still 50,000?
40.
40,000, right? So now what you're doing, you're maintaining the consistency of data. The data integrity is maintained. As soon as there is any transaction successful, if there are any deduction, that should be maintained. So this consistency is a property that makes sure you have the consistent data all throughout your OLTP system. Okay. Now that's the reason it is called as a consistency. Now next is isolation. Now, for example, your P1 and P2, you and your friend goes to any ATM account, okay? ATM account, and you are trying to withdraw, okay? Now, ATM account, you go, and you, as a P1, try to withdraw from your ATM, okay? You try to withdraw from your ATM at the same time, P2, okay, that's your friend, he's trying to check the balance. Okay, he's trying to check the balance from your account using any mobile application. Okay, now what is happening here? Now there are two types of transaction that is happening between the same account. So isolation makes sure that if there are two types of transaction that is happening, that should not interfere each other. Okay, since you are doing one transaction, both the transactions should happen independently, and they are not dependent on each other and execute independently, so that they can prevent any incurrency. Okay, incorrect data is there, it can be prevented using that. Now, as soon as you detect money, that amount is updated, and P2 can also see that data. Okay, this much amount is detected in his history. Okay, that is maintained with the help of something called as consistency. Okay, now last, something called as a durability. Okay, now how many of you use SPI here? SPI account?
Yes,
Anyone?
I am using.
Okay. Now, have you seen this frequently that whenever someone transfer money from other banks to your SBI account, the amount is deducted on his side, but it is not added to your account. Have you ever seen in this kind of issues?
Yes, it will take minimum time when you do a NEFT
Yeah, yeah. So it
transaction.
takes time, right?
Yeah, it
Now,
will take minimum
it
2 to 3 hours.
yeah, it takes 2 to 3 hours. It is taking time, but
Yeah.
it's made sure that after 2 to 3 hours, now why it might be happening, you are saying different type of transaction, but only the normal transaction also, if anyone is sending using UPI also, sometimes it takes time to come to your account, right? So why it happening, if there are any server down, okay, server down in the back end, and it is taking time to update that information in your account. Now as soon as that server is back, now amount is credited. Okay, amount is credited. Now this kind of thing is taken care by durability. Okay, durability makes sure that there is no loss of data. Every data is in reliable state, whether your server is down, once it is come, when it's come back, that data should be back. So durability is a property that makes sure. Okay, now are you able to explain, if anyone asks what is ACID properties in a simple way in interview? Is this topic clear, guys? Any doubts so far?
No, it's fine, fine. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's clear.
fine. So that's the same slide I want to show you. What do you mean? Now, this is the ACID properties in DBML. So what it says, A for atomicity, where it says all or nothing transaction. Every transaction, it should happen a transaction. If not happen, it should roll back. Okay. There's something called consistency where all valid state is maintained. Okay. The consistency is maintained. Once the data is deducted from one account, the data is added to another account. Whatever the change, that should be reciprocated in their respective account. Isolation. Oh, sorry. Isolation is something where transactions don't affect each other. Independently, a transaction can happen. And there are durability is nothing but permanent changes after any commitment happens that should be like indicated in your account. Okay, that is what durability is. Okay, this is the property of OLTP system. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, let's understand few more things in the OLTP. Now, OLTP next feature, I would say feature. What is, where did we go? OLTP. Now, let me continue here. Now, next feature of OLTP is it is for smaller data. Okay, we understood this, right? It stores only current data and relevant data. Okay, now next is for execution, faster query execution. Okay, now if you are executing anything in your Amazon like app and you're trying to browse anything, and if it is taking for to showcase you for any file like you click anything and it's taking 5 minutes to get that piece of information, will you be happy? No, right? For that particular fast execution, OLTP system are meant for. Okay, these are the features of OLTP. Now now let's understand the few features of OLAP. Okay, I'll quickly finish it off. We'll say for analyticals it is used. Okay, next what we can do, we use for aggregated data. Historical loading. Historical loading. What do you mean by historical loading, guys? Anyone? Historical data. What do you mean by historical data? Can anyone explain this?
Example,
past-
if you consider of employee data, let's say one of organization, if you change any promotion, if you change in any title or any changes in of particular piece of information, it will be keep recording on when it is got changed and who got changed. So it will be maintain all historical information.
Yep, exactly. So we'll be maintaining each and every history. Okay. This, if we try to maintain each and every history in OLTP system, the data keeps on increasing, and again, any changes or any updation that will affect, right? So for that, what we'll do in OLAP system will be maintaining this all history. So for example, now I said right now when I go here and Excel. Okay. Now I said from Sagar, this email ID I have changed to this email ID. Now we'll track all the system in OLAP, saying that okay, this was the earlier data he had, and let's make this data as inactive. This is the current data, so that why they can do is whatever whenever they are analyzing, they can also see if their particular employee or particular data, what kind of data till where that data is there, and they can make some analytical on top of that. So to do that, we use in OLAP will be using this historical data. Now, denormalized data, we understood that, right? What is denormalized data? We are keeping all the information in one table. That is meant for denormalized. Now, I would say it's not completely denormalized. The partial denormalization will partially we'll be doing that, and I said we'll explain that when we'll be exploring Snowflake. Okay. Now, next is meant for what? Complex query. It is meant for complex queries. Okay. Now next, another is it meant for reading only, right? It's for reading most of the things it is used, and we use it for mainly as a data warehouse. Now, we completed this. Now next important topic is, any doubt, guys? We can move ahead. Any doubt? Clear, right? Is this topic clear? If you have any doubts, please let me know. If you don't let me know, then I'll be keep on going and I'll be continuing the topics. Okay, fine.
eyesight is clear, but it's more into the deviating into theoretical. It's my opinion. Like something you can quickly start with practical, it will be better. What do you say?
Yeah. The thing is, there are few
More we are
people
into
who.
the theoretical only, so theoretical will not be help much. So when you start with practical, really, what is mean by this all the topics, I think it will be better for the
Yeah,
candidates.
I can totally agree with you, but there are few people who are completely new to data. Even we need to take care of them, right? So
Yeah,
that's the reason. So as soon like this will be the last theory topic we'll be doing today. From tomorrow, it will be only
it's a
coding.
morning
Now
session, right? When you're explaining something theoretically, like we will not feel like it's a comfortable or what do you say? It's like
I can totally agree this. That's the reason I'm saying. If you don't know the concepts, and if I
yeah,
start directly doing coding and all the things, where the people who don't know those things, it will be overwhelming for them. So that's the reason we are just explaining these things. Now, once as soon as we understood these all topics directly, we can go and do coding. This is the last class where we'll be explaining the concept.
fine, fine.
Okay, fine. Next is database. We'll come quickly finish this. There is something called as a data warehouse. Then we have something called as a data lake. And then we have something called as lakehouse. Okay. Now we need to understand what is this. Okay. Now we saw database. Database is what mainly it is meant for what it is mainly meant for storing your data, managing your data, and it is mainly meant for your CRUD operation. CRUD operations are nothing but what? Read, create, update, and delete operations. Whereas data warehouse is what it's meant for analytical purpose. Okay, where we'll be keeping all our data and then we're analyzing and it's all there in the structural format. Okay. Now let me do this. This is meant for CRUD operation. Now it is meant for here analytical, but where it is in the structure format. Now, let's understand what you mean by data lake. Okay. Now, what's the problem with a data warehouse is now you are having all your data in the structured format. Now, if you want to analyze anything, there is an unstructured format. So, there are some companies that might be having an unstructured format where you are producing something called as images. You'll be having something called as semi-structured data, unstructured data, images, logs, IoT data, these kind of data that will be coming and we can directly not analyze using that in data warehouse. Now, when unstructured data comes into the picture, what happens is you need to maintain this. So we will go with something called as a data lake. Well, what data lake does is it stores structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, and we can handle this large volume of data in this, and it is very suitable for something called as a big data, AI, and machine learning purpose. Okay. Now, what is the example for data lakes? So whatever you are having Amazon S3, Amazon Storage Services, that is a example for data lake. We have something called as ADLS, that is Azure Data Lake Gen 2. That is for storing your data as a raw or unstructured format. Okay, that's the example for data lake. Another is a Google Cloud. Okay, that's the example for data lake. Now, what we are doing, we are storing all that data in the raw format, right? For example, if you take a day-to-day activity, you can say your Google Drive. That is a data lake where you're storing all your images, or you can store your text file, you can show your document, you can show your Excel file, everything you can store, right? So that is called as a data lake. Now, what's the issue with this data lake is it can store your data, but we can't do frequent update, deletes, and everything. We can't directly read that data, right? If it is there in unstructured, we saw what is JSON format data that is already there in the key value page. Now we can't directly read this and we can not do insert, delete, and absorption, right? For that thing, we have something called as lakehouse. Now, what is lakehouse is nothing but it's a combination of data warehouse plus data lake. Okay, you have a combination of this. What you say, you take a data from data lake, and there are few technologies like Delta Table, Apache, Iceberg. There are UDIs. These are the open table format. What they do, they say I can give you backend things where you can do all these ACID properties. What you are doing in the OLTP system or OLAP system, where you can convert all this data into a structured data using with help of this lakehouse feature. Okay, so for us, the main thing we'll be learning is these three systems. These things will come into the picture in Databricks. Whatever you're doing in Databricks, that is called as a lakehouse architecture. Okay, now you're analyzing using there with the help of something called as Delta. There are something called a delta tables, which we are bringing that data, we are converting that into a delta format, and then you will be learning that. Okay. If anyone asks this, you just go through this and you'll understand what is this system. Okay. Now let me go back to the slide. Okay, this is a brief differences between database, data warehouse, data lake, and lakehouse. Okay, we have whatever the purpose of databases are called a OLTP system where we store, whereas data warehouse we store different of multiple types of data for analysis, and we have that. Whereas in data lake we store only vast amount of raw data, which is unprocessed data. Okay, when we combine these two things, we are storing in data, having data warehouse capability with the help of data lake, that is called lakehouse. Okay, now for these we have different of like tools, that is called as Databricks, data lake. We have Google BigQuery. For us, for lakehouse, we have Amazon S3. We have data lake Gen 2, and these are the example which we saw. Now we have all the OLTP which we are seeing, that is MySQL, PostgreSQL. These are the OLTP system. Okay, you just go through this and you understand what is this, and if anyone is asking, you need to explain this in the interview. Okay, any doubt in this, guys? Okay, now we'll just directly enter into a database. Now in market, there are like a lot of different databases. Okay, for example, let me give an example. Now mainly we'll be learning with MySQL. Okay, we'll understand why we are learning MySQL, but I'll give you an example. Have you ever joined the driving classes, guys? Have you gone and joined the driving classes to learn how to drive a car? Have you joined it? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay. Now, once you join your driving class and you when you will be practicing that, he has used something called as a Maruti Suzuki car. Now you done driving, you learn to your driving, and you come back and you think to like your friend is having another car called Honda, and will you go back and ask tell him that, oh, now my friend is having Honda car, now why you did not teach me a Honda car? Will you go and ask back to that driving license guy or any driving class which you have joined? Will you go back and you'll ask that?
No.
No, right? So why you won't ask? So there might be n number of services. There might be n number of company. They come with their own products. Okay, but in the back end, all 80 to 90% of the things they have the SQL remains same. There might be slight change in syntaxes which we can easily go through documentation and learn. Okay, as soon as we learn MySQL, you are good to go and work on all these tools. There is no, they will not having any difficulties to work on this. The main thing is you have to know the foundation. You need to understand what is required, and all the topics are required, and we'll be covering that in the MySQL. Now, why we are doing MySQL is a lot of companies are using MySQL. These are the companies that are using MySQL. It's a free and open source tool. Okay, it's a very easy to learn, and you can very easy to install. You can install that in your Mac system. You can install that in your Windows system, and you can easily work on this. Okay, that's the reason we are using MySQL. Okay, now let's go ahead and see how to download MySQL and get started with our coding. Okay, any doubts so far, guys? Okay, now to download MySQL, just give me a minute. Okay. Me here. Okay, now this is our website, guys. Hope you will be knowing, like whenever you go, you just click on explore your courses, you get these courses, and our main course is this, right? We are having free Snowflake with AWS as a free. Okay, now when you click on this, it will direct to you something called as access course. Now when you for if you're enrolling for first time, it will be enroll, and once you enroll, you'll have something all the related documents here what you require. Now for this, you have something called as an installation guide. Now go this and just download that. Okay. As soon as you download your guide, it will open. Okay. Now here all the steps you require to install your MySQL has been done. Okay. All you have to do is first you go and install MySQL. When you type your MySQL and you download the MySQL, so it will ask you to download. So once you go and you need to click on this something called as a community edition, because community edition where we are doing free things. Okay. Now, once you do that, it will ask you to install. Once you install, there will be two types of system where we say web community and there is a installer community. Okay, you need to click on this installer community. Okay, once you click on that, there is it will again ask, do you want to start or login or start? Login is nothing but if there is any future updation on this particular product, it will automatically intimate you or update you. So that's not required. You just say no thanks and just click on that and you get started. Okay. Now the software is downloaded, and once as soon as the software is downloaded, you just need to follow this step. Just follow that, and you once you click on next, there is something called as a you need to go with a custom, and you need to click on something items. These are the item MySQL server, and you need to just click on this arrow mark. It will come, and these are the things which you are downloading. These are the main three things you need to do: MySQL server, Workbench, and Shell. Okay, as soon as you do that, you click on next. When you click on next, it just asks to execute you. When you click on execute, everything is executed. Okay, once you execute this, and again you go, it will ask something for a server. You need to activate the server, and you say just go next. There will be a default port 3306. You have to keep as it is and just go next. Once you do go next and next, it asks you to give a recommended password. So you keep as it is and you just click on next. Now, as soon as you go next, it will ask you a password for yourself. Whatever the password you need to keep, you give it and you remember this because this is required to log into your system. Okay, as soon you do, again, it goes to the next system and is asked what you need to do, and you just click on next, and all the things where your files, everything is placed, it will ask. This is a part where all the things are being placed. You need to click that. Okay, now once you click and execute all these, all the configuration will be executing. Okay, once you do that, you just finish it off. Now, once you finish it off, everything is finishing off and you can go and launch. But before that, what we need to do, we need to configure your path. Okay, you go to the path where your MySQL is installed. You need to go to the bin. Okay, now from your PC, it will be mainly on the programmer MySQL side. You need to go there and you need to go there and you need to copy this. Once you copy and there are something called as environmental variables. You need to come for environmental variables, edit that environmental variables. Under system path, you need to add this path. Okay, just go here and just add that. Okay, you say click on new and you add this path. Now, as soon you do, click on OK. Now, to confirm whether MySQL is downloaded or not, you open your command prompt. Okay, you just go and search in your Chrome and search and say CMD, and you just click on this. This particular prompt will be open, and just you need to pass a MySQL / version. And if you see the version, your system is installed. Now, if you want to work on command prompt only, you just need to pass your username. Username will, by default, it will be root, and you need to pass your password. So once you do that, you can just go there and you can query anything. Once the connection is done, you can query. You can just show database, whatever there it will show. Okay. Now you can do in these things, but we'll be doing mainly using UI. Okay, that is nothing but Workbench UI. What is Workbench UI? So whenever you install your MySQL, there is something called as a Workbench UI will be automatically popping up. Now, once you do that, there will be a connection. There's always a local connection. This will be there for your root user. You need to click on that, and for the first time when we'll be doing it, will ask your password. Okay, whatever the password you have done, you give that, and you make it save as that password. Once you do that, this UI page will open. Okay, any doubt in this, guys? Can you do these things? Anyone who don't have MySQL, can they install using this guide?
Yes.
Okay, sure. We will be not skipping any topics. Don't worry. We will be going each and every topic. I know there are few folks who don't know these topics, so we'll be understanding each and every topics. That's the reason your course is going for 4.5 months. Okay, I know this is starting demo classes, so you might feel a lot of theory concept because few people don't know these concepts. That's the reason we are doing this. But as soon as we start coding, right, there are a lot of assignments will be there. It will be not you'll be not having those times. Okay, you need to practice daily basis. Okay, now as soon as you do this, now let me go and launch my MySQL. Okay, once you click your MySQL workbench, now you're seeing two connection here. Okay, now what is this two connection is? Now let me explain briefly what happens. Okay, in MySQL how it happens. Okay, it is something called as a client and this is the last thing. Client and server architecture. Okay, there is something called as a client and server architecture. Now, whatever the installation you have done, that is a server that you have done in your server. You have installed this. Now, to access this, you need something called whatever the things you are working. That is a client. Okay, you are interacting something with this database, right? You are a client. You log into this particular server, and you whatever the queries you do that are nothing but you are asking something for databases. Now, this what are the things you are asking? It will go through network and in the backend it will interact with the server, and then using the something called as a query processor, it will there is something called as a query processor. Using that, it will revert back your information. Okay, these things it is happening in the client and server architecture. To do that, we have something called as this connection, right? As soon as you do the click on this connection, it will be populated to yours. Okay, now since I'm working on something, it has showed over my previous code. Now once you log in, it will be completely blank here. Okay, now this is your SQL bench, where this is a part where we'll be doing all our coding, our SQL coding. Okay, now whatever you are seeing here, these are the schema databases, whatever you have. Now you need to understand what are the administrator side, you need to go here. You need to showcase your server, what are your client connection. If you do, you need to create another new user. You saw there are two users, right? Now I have created another user and I have given privilege for him to use this particular database. Another connection I have established. That will be seen. Okay. Now, whatever the query you are doing, that output will come here. You will be able to see that output. Okay. Now let's go and create our first database. Okay. Now we saw database and we saw database and we saw schema. Okay. So in MySQL, both database and schema are same. Okay, it depends on product to product, software to product, software to software. In some software there will be a database, under that there will be a schema. You can create different schema. Whereas in MySQL you can't create separate schema. Whatever you are creating as a database, it is called a schema. Okay, now in MySQL, in Snowflake it is different. You have to first create a database and then you have to create schema, and under that schema you will be creating other objects. Okay, now let's create our first database. To create a database, it is nothing but create database name. Whatever the database name you are doing, you have to give. Okay. Now, to execute this particular piece of line, right, you need to select this, and there is something thunderbolt here. Once you execute this, now as soon as you execute this particular query, you see here down database is created. Whatever you are doing, that is showing here. Okay. Now, as soon as you create, it might not populate in your schemas. Now, I have created different database, so you are seeing different things. For you, this finance, FMGC practice, and product KSR might not be there. Only system might be there. Okay. As soon there is a refresh button here. As soon as you click on refresh button, your Amazon database has come. Now, under this database, again, we have what tables we have views, we have store procedure, we have function. These are the different types of objects which we get under the database. Now, first we'll be starting with tables, then we'll go with views, then we'll understand store procedure and function. Okay. Now, you have created this database, but we have to access this database in this particular cell, right? For that, we have another, for accessing, we have another command that is nothing but use database. Won't use some data, whatever you say use whatever your database name. Just give that. Once you click here, now what you see, now you are into this particular database. Now, whatever piece of code you'll be doing, you will be doing under this database. Okay. Now you create a database. Now, for example, now I don't want. Now I want. I have created it as Amazon. I don't want it as Amazon. I want it as Amazon Sales. Now, can we rename can we directly rename a database in MySQL? No, we can't directly rename. Now, that's the reason whenever you will be naming your database in your company or anything, they have to make sure that any information they are giving that is valid. Once the database created, that's it. You can't rename it. So if you want to rename, again, what you have to do, you have to drop the database. Okay, drop database, and then what we have to do? We have to do what? Measure. Now, as soon as you click that, what happens? See, that database is gone. It's permanently deleted. Okay, it's not there in your system. Okay. Now, again, whatever the objects that was there under that database also is gone. Okay, it is the highest privilege. The database comes into the picture. You drop that, everything is gone. Okay. Now, once again, if you want to rename, is what we will do. Again, we create database, and we say database name, and we execute that. Now again, database is created, and that you can see here. Any doubts, guys? Are we clear? Any doubts?
No.
Okay, just give me a minute. Now, for those who don't know, who are new to SQL, now whatever the commands we are writing here, these are called as what? Queries. You're writing, you're querying something, and you're giving command to database using SQL. Now, whatever the language we are using, this is called as a SQL language. Okay. Now, in SQL, there are mainly few commands we need to understand. SQL commands. Okay. There are MySQL commands. There are different types of commands. That is DDL, DML, DQL, TCL, and DCL. Okay. Now, these are the commands. Now, these commands are defined based on the type of action you're doing on the database. Okay. For freshers or who are new to SQL and who are trying to give interviews, they might ask you this. Okay. What are the SQL commands? What are the different types of SQL commands? Okay. Now, what do you mean by DDL? DDL is nothing but data definition language. Okay. What do you mean by definition, guys? Anyone?
Create.
Okay. So usually in definition in your projects and all, if what you will bring, the definition is what you're doing. What you're describing, right? You're describing something. So anything you're describing or doing, defining your structure in table or any piece of information you're giving, that is called as data definition language. Now, DML is nothing but data manipulation language. So what do you mean by manipulation, guys? Anyone?
Like altering the data.
Okay. Can say modifying.
Altering the structure, something.
Structure, I would not say structure. I would say
Data.
anything manipulating. What you are saying data manipulate. You are saying data modify. You are not saying anything with a structure. Now you are saying data definition for this particular
Like update or delete something.
Yep. Exactly. So whatever you are manipulating the data, that is called as a data manipulation. There is something called as a data query language. What do you mean by query? Now, what I said, right? We are doing these queries, right? We are doing, and we are saying we are getting some information. So whatever the query we are doing, that is called as a data query language. Okay. There is something called as TCL. Now that is called as transaction control language. Okay. Now we'll understand this. Now, whatever the type of transaction we are doing, right? Based on that, we will be defining few things. We'll ensure that data consistency is done by having the control over the transaction. What are these? We'll see when we'll be doing data transaction language. And last, nothing but there is something called as data control language. Okay. Data control language is nothing but you are having control over your data, like giving admin access, all the admin work, what are you doing on the database or object, Based on that, whatever the commands you're doing, that comes under the data control. Now tomorrow we'll get started, and what all commands will come under these languages we'll see, and we'll get started and we'll start doing coding. Any doubts so far, guys?
No.
Namit Singh, what do you mean by schema name is changed or not? I don't understand this. Okay, fine. Okay, let me share my screen back. Okay, so far we have seen a lot of theory, as so much things we have seen. Now no more PPTs from tomorrow, no more theories. There will be only coding from. Okay. Now, for those who don't know how to access our videos or recordings, as soon as you go and say, as soon as you go and click on this particular free recordings, so it will be going to this particular page. Now, when you say enroll, or if you are not enrolled, you have to enroll. And as soon as you click on enroll, you say access now. So as soon as you click on access now, this particular as soon as you click on access now, particular page will come. Okay. Now, in this particular page, we have already so many people were asking the curriculum, right? We have added the curriculum also. There's a course curriculum here. Okay. You can just go and download this. Okay. As soon as you click on download, you get this course curriculum. Okay. So many people were asking. So this is a course curriculum, what all we are teaching. So now, so far, what we have done, we have seen the popular databases, we have seen installation, we have seen OLTP and OLAP. Now tomorrow we'll be starting with basic commands. Okay. Now, as soon as we finish this, we'll see constraints, we'll see different types of groups, aggregation, joins, how we can do, advanced queries, what we can do. We can see windows, we'll see case statements, how to write subqueries. Then we'll go with the PL/SQL, that is views, index, how you can do functions, trigger, procedure, we'll see that. Okay. Now, as soon as we finish our SQL, we'll be going with Snowflake. Okay. We'll complete each and every Snowflake. You can go, we have discussed this. You can go through syllabus, what all topics we are doing. As soon as we finish our Snowflake, we'll be doing Python. Now, we'll see if you want to do Python or Matillion. We'll see how we have a poll. If you want to go with Python and Snowpark, as soon as we finish our Snowflake, we can do that. Or if you don't want to do that, we can go with a Matillion and DBT, and you can start giving interviews. We can follow that also, and we can finish that, and we can come back with a Python and Snowpark. Because most of the companies will be 80 to 70% of the companies, if you are Snowflake, Matillion, DBT, you are good to go. But if you want more and more opportunity, we need this. Okay, you can start giving interview at that time if you are giving interviews. And then as soon as we finish our Snowpark, Matillion and DBT, we'll be doing our projects. Okay, one is Apollo Healthcare project, which I said end-to-end project. It will be going for 6 to 8 hours. Another is e-commerce project, which will be mainly doing with Snowflake with DBT. It will go to 3 to 4 hours. Okay, and then later on we'll be doing AWS. Okay, in AWS main services we'll be doing is S3, Athena, Glue, EMR. Then we'll be doing a Lambda service, DynamoDB, and Redshift. And whatever the monitoring things that is required for CloudWatch, we'll be seeing that. And as I said, we will be doing one project in AWS as well, where we'll be doing with respect to Glue, we'll be doing transforming, and we'll be adding all the data to Snowflake. Okay, this is the syllabus, guys. Now, to access the recordings. Okay. Now, if anyone is attending today's first class and if they want to access the recordings, they can just click on this and they have all the recordings. Okay. Now they can all go and they can just click and they can see the recordings here. Now today's class is there, so you're joining here. Okay. We have tomorrow one more free demo classes where we will be having access. Once that is done, you need to go and you need to enroll for the paid batches. Okay. For the paid batches, you can connect for more information. You can connect Mahesh or any admin. They will guide you. Okay. Any doubts, guys? Are we good? Any doubts?
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I joined today. It's my first class, like a demo I attended.
Okay.
So the recording from when the batch was started.
Today is a fourth class. So class was started on last Thursday. So you can go and check those recordings.
Okay, so from the website, right?
You can see in the website also, even YouTube, our YouTube channel, we have added. But if you want everything in one place, you can go and access through the website. The first 5 sessions are free. Just enroll that, and you can go and you can check.
Like how much is the duration of this course?
Our duration will be 4 to 4.5 months. It will go to 4.5 months till July end.
Okay, so the timing will be 7 to 8:30.
Morning 7 to 8:30.
So you're doing a real-time project or what?
Yeah, completely. It will be a real-time project. That project you can directly showcase in your resume.
Okay. So I don't know about the introduction. Can you introduce me? Are
Sorry.
you? I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know
working.
about the
I'm working. I
introduction.
have total nearly 8 years of experience. I'm completely working on. I have worked on different clouds. Like I worked on AWS, Azure. I worked on different tools like DBT, Matillion, Databricks. I worked on all these things. You can just go through the first session. I have given my introduction about myself. You can go through that also. And if you have any doubt, to reach out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it will be good like if there are more projects like just one or two, it doesn't come.
We are doing project, see, whatever, it's a capstone project, what all things we'll be learning, right, we'll be adding that in a project. 6 to 8 hour project is not a small project. Okay, you, what all things you learn in Snowflake, everything will be added in that. Okay, now to execute that only will need a lot of time. Okay, you need to understand
Okay.
concepts. Now everything offer more than no other institute who gives more than 3 projects, right? We are giving more projects. We are giving in AWS also. Last time when someone asked to add AWS project, we have added that also. With DBT, we have added one project. So this will be more than enough to get an idea how project works in the real time, and you can easily go and start working in your company.
Yeah, like but I am not from a coding background. Is it the full coding will be there in this
Yeah.
AWS?
Yep. In see, for if you just go with Snowflake, SQL is the one you need to know must and should. Whereas in AWS, little bit Python you need to understand. So
Yeah.
I will not say coding. The thing is like for Glue, you need to have a PySpark where you need to write a code in PySpark, and it's a similar to that of SQL. The concepts, if you know on SQL, you will be able to write a code in PySpark. And in Python, you need to know intermediate level. Okay, so that's the reason we are starting from scratch. We are doing SQL, we are doing Python, we are doing Snowpark, we are doing covering each and everything. And after completing on each and every topics, there will be assignments. Now, since these are demo classes, we have just started with theory. A lot of people don't know what is SQL, what is database. So we need to explain for that. So we have started very from basics. Now, as soon as we start coding, a lot of assignments will be there. We need to do that. And we'll be tracking that assignments also in our website. Okay, where I saw you all the documents, right? There will be a particular section for assignment where we'll be giving use case, and you need to complete that assignment and you need to submit that. And as a KSR and team, they will be monitoring everything, and whatever the issues you have, they will help you out.
Okay, so I can able to do right like this. It is not a full-time coding like Python, Java like that
No,
because
see, in Snowflake with AWS, 80% is SQL. SQL is must. In SQL also, you'll be doing coding. Okay, you need, see, data engineering not that straightforward and easy. You need to practice. And if you are good with coding, your career is safe. Okay, you no need to worry about the layoffs or anything for next 5, 10 years. Okay, starting you might feel something overwhelming and difficult, but as soon as you practice, right? So a lot of assignments you'll be doing, and if you do each and every assignment, it is easy. When compared to Azure Databricks, Snowflake is easy. Why? We are here, there will be less coding when compared to Databricks. Here more will be on the SQL side. Okay, these all things I have explained on my second class. You can go and you can check that. You'll get an idea. And if you still have doubt, you can reach out to us. We'll help you out.
oh, thank you.
Okay, sure. Any other doubt, guys? So are we good? So for those who are new to any database or SQL, is a pace okay? Are we going in a slow pace, or you want me to increase the pace? Oh, sorry, I was talking in mute. Were you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Sorry, my bad. My bad. Okay. So what I was explaining is just we had a quick recap of yesterday's class where we saw what is database, what is schema, what is tables, columns, rows, and why databases are required, and what are the few features of databases. Do anyone remember what is the features of databases?
Yes. Scalability,
Yep. Then
elasticity,
yep,
security and governance,
yep.
data integrity.
Can anyone explain what is scalability, elasticity, data integrity? What you understood from yesterday's class? Just a basic. I'm not asking a definition. Just what you understood. I just wanted. Anyone? What do you mean by scalability, guys?
It can increase its size based on the load it has.
Yep, yep. And what is
Auto
meaning of
scale.
what do you mean by elasticity then? Difference between scalability and elasticity? Can anyone explain it? Okay. Scalability is nothing, it's a day-to-day activity, okay? When, for example, now you are having for today 1 million records you are processing, and on the daily basis, your businesses is increasing. So now next you want as a 2 million records that to be processed. So you are what manually increasing your storage or computation, every power that is required for your process. Whereas elasticity is whenever you are required, then only you are increasing. For example, we took example of Big Billion Day, right? And during that period only what Amazon want to increase their capacity. During other time, it's a normal transaction used to happen. So they don't want to unnecessarily use their resources at that time. So at that time, they will be not using this scalability. They will be using elasticity. Okay. Anyone freshers or anyone who might be attending interview, right? They might ask these things like what are the features of databases? You need to explain this. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's understand what is